Good morning students. Today we discuss about 11th common subject. In this video we discuss a new chapter, elements of contract. So in this chapter we discuss both the first meaning and definition of contract. That is, law means a set of rules which governs our behavior and relating in a civilized society. So there is no need of law in a uncivilized society. So one should know the law to which he is subjected to, because ignorance of law is no excuse. So contract means, according to the Indian Contract Act, occupies the most important place in the commercial law. Without the Contract Act, it would have been difficult to carry on trade or any other business activities. So Contract Act will be very essential for smooth running of the business and also the society. So without the law and without the Contract Act, there is no chance for running of the business in smooth manner. There are two parties involved in the case of a contract. That is, there are two parts of Indian Contract Act, namely General Act Contract and a Special Contract. Contract means, as per the Indian Contract Act 1872, a contract is an agreement enforceable by law. So, contract is one of the agreement created in order to follow the law which framed by the government. So, the agreement not enforceable by law is not a contract. An agreement means a promise or a set of promise forming consideration for each other. So a promise arises when a proposal is accepted. So in other words, an agreement consists of an offer and its acceptance. So both will be applicable in the case of a contract. So contract is agreement plus enforceability of law. There are some definition point of view. That is, offer means when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything, with a view to obtaining the assent of that other person either to such act or abstinence. He is said to make a proposal. So proposal means the expectations given to others in order to complete the assignment. So when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything. Acceptance means when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent that the proposal is said to be accepted. So one who accepts the proposal from other in order to satisfy the work, it is called as an acceptance. Agreement means every promise and set of promises forming consideration for each other is an agreement. That means agreement is both offer and acceptance. Consideration: when at the desire of the promiser or any other person has done or abstained from doing something, or does or abstain from doing something, or promises to do or abstain from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called consideration for the promise. So contract means an agreement enforceable by law is one of the contract. Next, essentials of a valid contract. So if any contract will be a legal contract, there should be an essential points should be considered in order to make a contract lawfully. That is, offer and acceptance. there must be two parties to an agreement, namely one party making the offer and the other party will make it acceptance. So offer and acceptance both will be applicable in the case of a contract to be a valid one. A legal relationship. The parties must have the intention to create legal relationship between them. So an agreement of social or domestic nature is not a contract. So both the persons involved to make an agreement, they must be possess a legal relationship. Lawful consideration. As per the Contract Act 19, as per the Contract Act under Section 2, consideration means something in return. A contract without consideration becomes invalid. So it may be in cash or in kind or in any other form of specified in the contract. So consideration must not be unlawful, immoral, or opposed to the public policy. The next one is lawful object. The object of agreement should be a lawful and legal one. That is the aim of the agreement should be a legal one. It must not be illegal or immoral or opposed to the public policy. So two persons cannot enter into an agreement to do a criminal act. So the two persons should do only the legal activities in order to make a contract a valid one. Free consent. Consent of the parties must be free and genuine. So consent means agreeing upon same thing in the same sense at the same. So there should be consensus ad idem. Consent is said to be free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentations, or mistakes. Capacity of parties. The parties to a contract must have capacity, that is legal ability, to make a valid contract. So the Indian Contract Act specifies that every person is competent to contract provided he is of the age of majority according to the law, and those who enter into the contract, they must be a sound mind person. Unsound mind person may not be enter in the contract, and it is not disqualified from contracting by any law to which he is subject to any alien enemy, foreign, sovereign, and accredited representative of a foreign state. Insolvent persons may not enter into a contract. Certainty of terms. The agreement should be clear to the parties of the agreement. So the agreement must be a precise one. So there is no clarity of terms. Possibilities of performance. The terms of the agreement should be capable of performance. So an agreement to do an act impossible in itself cannot be enforced. So the agreement is void because the act in itself is impossible to be performed from the very beginnings. The next one is not declared void. The agreement should be such that it should be capable of being enforced by law. Certain agreements have been expressly declared legal or void by the law. So agreement should be a valid one, void one. Necessary legal formalities. Contract may be oral or in writing. So where a particular type of contract is required by law to be in writing and registered, it must comply with necessary formalities as to writing, registration, and attestations. So all formalities to make a contract should be either oral or in writing. But in writing, the agreement should be very useful and should be registered in order to make a valid contract. The next one is classification of contract. There are various types of contract are there. First we discuss about on the basis of the validity, valid contract. An agreement which fulfill all the essential prescribed by law on the basis of its creation. It should be a valid contract. Next one, void contract. A contract which ceases to be enforceable by law, and a contract which does not satisfy any of the essential elements of a valid contract is said to be a void, that is invalid contract. Next, voidable contract. An agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties but not at the option of the other or others is a voidable contract. So this is the result of coercion, undue influence, fraud and misrepresentations. Illegal contract. It is a contract which is forbidden by law, that is against the law. So an illegal agreement are void, but all void agreement or contract are not necessarily illegal. So contract that is immoral or opposed to the public are termed to be illegal in nature. Unlike illegal agreement, there is no punishment to the parties to be a void agreement. So illegal agreement are void from the very beginning, but sometimes valid contract may subsequently becomes void. Unenforceable contract. Where a contract is unenforceable because of some technical effect. So absence in writing backed by limitations, etc. If the parties perform the contract, it will be a valid one, but the court will not compel them if they do. So on the basis of the formation, there are various types of contract are there. Express contract, and then implied contract, quasi contract, tacit contract, and on the basis of the performance there are various types of contract, that is executive contract, executory contract, unilateral contract, bilateral contract are there. So with that we conclude this video. So students, you can write all the topics which are taught in this video and send a task complete message in the group between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. today itself. Thank you.